And
Be
go.
alive.
We're live. Hi, everybody. Today we are talking about Sand, I almost said Wool, by Hugh Howey.
I would have actually laughed so hard if you'd said Wool. That would have been great. Hey, look, we've got different covers.
Oh, yes. I bought mine at like the $10 store.
I was given mine by Sarah. Thank you, Sarah.
Yes.
Alrighty. Do you want to lead, Kim, or do you want me to take it?
Yeah, I'll start. So
Go for it.
I don't think it's any surprise that I very much enjoyed this book. If I had to compare it to Wool, I didn't enjoy it quite as much as Wool, but I absolutely loved Wool, so it'd be really hard to beat. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was very much, considering those three books, very much Hugh Howey. He really likes to draw you in by like swapping perspective, and you're just left there going, no, I wanted to know more. Go back to that character. And by the time he switches back to that character, you're like, no, don't switch back yet. So I really loved it.
Awesome. Jacqueline?
My next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it too. I agree. I think I liked Wool better, but then it could be that, you know, that was such an unexpected one for me. Like I wasn't, you know, I didn't see it coming. Whereas this time I had that expectation of going, okay, now this is going to be really good because I've read his work before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting world building. It was something that kind of reminded me a little bit of Mistborn, in that it was like this whole idea that I hadn't really seen before, that was well described. Sounded like my version of a nightmare, but yeah, it was really interesting. But yeah, I wouldn't say as good as Wool. There's a couple of little things I wanted to nitpick on, but I'll get into that in a bit more detail.
Sarah?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a nice fast read too, which I appreciated given, you know, timing and stuff. So I felt like he got into it fairly quickly and built up. I think I made a post on Facebook that he kind of built up the tension. Like early, you got into that kind. He's very good at that. Though I'll talk about specific scenes that in comparison to the Silo trilogy. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I'm interested in seeing where he goes with this world further, because there is going to be more in it, which is good because there's more stories to tell. I enjoyed this world. I probably enjoyed this world more because I didn't feel as constricted as I did in the Silo world. And it'll be interesting to see if he does do some historical back and forthing like he did in the Silo world as well. So yeah. That was me.
Well, that answers this question for me, because I was wondering if he was going to do more. And because when you look on Goodreads and you know, for the series, it just shows the breakdown of the 5 parts, and I'm like, is there going to be more?
I think I ended up on Twitter or his site or something, and he talked about he's made the world. I'm not sure how you describe it, based open source, so others can write their own fanfic within it, which is really cool.
Something with Wool too, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so he's got that going on, but he has promised there's going to be a sequel, which will be coming out sometime, I think, next year. This is all from memory of kind of going, this can't be it. Like, we need to know more.
That was actually one of my problems with it. I felt like it was a world with so much scope that I wasn't getting enough information. So I was a little frustrated on that point. Especially given I did not feel that way after reading Wool. Like, I know we got 2 more books after that, but I did not feel that way with just Wool alone. I felt like I really enjoyed exploring that world from Wool, and that I didn't feel like things were missing, even though obviously there was a lot more to learn. We got baby. Hey, Xander.
Hey, Xander.
He's supposed to be saying goodnight to me, but he saw you guys and he's like, just wriggled out of my arms and came over here.
Hi, Xander.
I'm just talking to everybody about the book we read, but it's time for you to read your books now.
Ooh, book reading time. That's good. Yeah.
You going to say goodnight to everybody?
Good night.
Night, Xander.
Good night, Xander.
Good night, Xander.
See you soon, Matt.
Yeah, so for me, I enjoyed it, but I think that I was a little concerned about certain aspects, which we'll get into, and a little disappointed about the world, feeling like it could have been scoped out a little bit more. I also, my biggest complaint, and since I may as well anyway, I'm just going to go there because I was last. I felt like this was a world without hope.
Sorry.
That's how I felt.
Yeah,
I kind of felt that, but admittedly, I felt that in Silo in book 2 a lot.
Yeah.
What was, sorry, I missed that.
Oh, I said I felt like this was a world without hope.
Oh, yeah, I kind of felt that way a little bit too.
And for me,
I found this one was worse than the Silo one because I was like, it just seemed so like horrible. Like, it was
but
like,
I agree with Sarah.
I don't like sand. It was a bit nightmarish for me.
But I think that's the difference between Wool and Shift, though. Like Sarah was saying that Shift was worse. I think Wool's fine. Like, it's got nice people and there is a feeling of hope and things like that. Shift, however, with the whole history thing, was just like, this is terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, Shift was
one,
hard. It was hard. It was hard to digest, and it was it was pretty awful.
Although towards the end, though, when you start to get the idea that, like, for a while there, I was like, the entire planet is like this. Like, the entire world is completely sand, and that's all there is. And then you sort of get this bit towards the end of it's like, hang on, no.
Yeah.
Yes, once you get Violet in there and Violet starts talking about that there's something else, then you realise, okay, everyone's sort of just, you know,
see, I didn't feel that at all.
Existing at the where they are, but you sort of get that hope once Violet's there that there's something else.
Yeah.
Like, this is just these are the people that are just suffering because other people are exploiting the environment, and they're going, oh, well, too bad about those people that live there.
Which is kind of a good message for our world at the moment.
Yeah.
But I think for me, even at the end, like, as much as we could see that there was hope in that there was beyond the world, I didn't feel hope for these people, because it didn't feel like they were going to even try and move on.
But I guess at the very end, that very end paragraph, their entire world's going to change.
True, they've got rain now.
Change, But before that, everyone seemed hopeless and just.
And there was quite a specific message once Violet showed up that they needed to go west.
Yeah,
and that was the part that they never talked about. Yeah. I just felt a little bit like they sheltered themselves from possibility. So they, like, people went out to no man's land to the east, never came back. And okay, there was that, but there hadn't been that exploration of the west.
Why wasn't that an option?
Yeah, perhaps it was the same kind of thing. They knew there was the thunder was coming from the east, but they never talk. Like, he never talks about the west, and I presume it's also because it's that way as well. But maybe it's because people get there and they reach a new possibility. But I didn't feel as hopeless, and I don't know. I think it was also because I felt there was something freeing about being. It was a little bit through Vic's story. There was something freeing about being under the sky, being out, being on the yachts that I felt good about. I felt like the diving, being able to, it just felt like there was something to explore, and they hadn't pushed themselves. Like, Vic was pushing her boundaries, her brothers were pushing their boundaries. They're the right family to kind of explore. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel as claustrophobic. I felt really claustrophobic in the first. Obviously, it's a freaking silo, but
I find that fascinating, because I found this one claustrophobic. Because
that's what I mean.
And I was just like, this is terrible. Whereas in Silo, like, I felt it, but I didn't feel it half as much. Like, you're under the ground, I get it, but you're still in like a room. Whereas this was under the sand, and it's like on top of you.
That was that freaked me too. I didn't like that. Sort of like,
I didn't like it much either, but I I was trying, I guess I kind of got the comparison he was making with water, because I'm sure it's very similar to being, I've only been diving once, and I went like in a peer situation. And I have to admit that when I looked up, I don't know if it's because the way when you look up, your respirator, regulator kind of compresses or something like that. But I remember thinking, wow, look at all that water on top of me. If it all goes wrong, like it was, I remember thinking that. And so, yeah, I totally get exactly what you guys are talking about, but I also know from people who love diving how they love it. Like, that's never going to be me, but I can feel empathy for that, and go, okay, I can understand that point of view.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally get what you're talking about, Kirsten, as well. Like all that, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I've never
that's
even
how
been
I felt.
diving.
That's how I felt.
I've only ever done like snorkeling, and I found myself getting claustrophobic from the mask and and having to breathe through the tube and everything. And like, I like to swim, and I wanted to take all that off and just swim. And I found that really, like, I found it claustrophobic. And like the idea of doing it in sand, and then so you can't even really see. Like, I mean, they can see because they have these visors, but they can't see like normally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like, it doesn't look like what stuff looks like outside, basically. I'm assuming. I don't know how you guys imagined it, but I sort of
imagined it
almost like a radar or something,
it's like sonar, but I imagine they see like you'd see infrared, that sort of difference in colours would be a sonar.
Yeah, that's kind of how
I was imagining like a heat map.
Yeah.
Yes, heat map. That's what I meant by heat map.
Yeah. Like, I'll just
Did
bring
anybody
this
else
up.
feel like it felt very similar, the concept, in terms of what happened in Wool when they wore the suits when they left the silo?
I didn't make that connection when I was reading it, but yeah, it's now that you mention it.
Yeah.
Like that. That's what I kind of thought they were saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's what I was imagining, which isn't the prettiest of things.
The exact same way as you do see heat maps. It's exactly the way you sort of described it.
Well, that's what I thought. Like, I think it's like when you see people do it with like night vision too. Like, it's got that sort of feel to it, so you can see some depth and understand.
Yeah, like if you had a night vision visor or something. Yeah.
So it seemed really very claustrophobic to me, the idea of them being, and the idea that the sand, like if they ran out of power, or if they didn't concentrate properly, then the sand would go hard again and be. So it's not even like if you're scuba diving, it's not like, okay, there's a lot of pressure if you go really deep, but it's not like it's just going to turn to concrete if something goes wrong, and that idea was really terrifying to me. And then just the everyday stuff of dealing with all that sand all the time, that sounded like a nightmare to me as well. I don't even like the sand at the beach.
You're like my mum, then she hates the sand.
I don't mind it while I'm there, but then as soon as I'm going back to the car and I'm trying to get it all off the sides of my legs, and I don't want to.
Yes, imagine being in a world where it's just sand all the time.
You'd never be able. Every time somebody went to sleep in the book, I'm imagining them climbing into bed and it all being gritty in the sheets from the sand. You'd never get it out of your sheets. It would just be horrible.
Yeah.
But when
you shower,
they showered with sand, or they bathed with sand.
A little bit, yeah. But to be fair, I think that people who live at the seaside, it is kind of like that. Like, you never get rid of the sand.
Yeah.
Like my house, you never get rid of the fur.
Yep.
Yeah, and actually I was thinking that, like, when
at
you're
least
around
sand
animals.
falls and fur doesn't fly around. Especially little fluffy kitty cats. It's just you walk across and there's this little bit of hair going past your face.
I think the other thing about the hope aspect wasn't just the world itself, but it was also the people. Like, it took forever until we met anybody outside of the siblings who were even vaguely nice. And I was just like, is everybody just awful in this world, or is it me?
Yeah.
It definitely had a Wild West feel to it, which,
Yeah.
you know, like satellite town, which they also always look really kind of sandy and desolate as well. And it's just like everybody's, you know, trying to do their thing, make a buck, fend for themselves. It definitely felt like that, you know, pioneering Wild
especially
West.
with like the honey hole right in the middle of it.
Exactly, yeah. You know, being which is both the bar and the
brothel,
and the brothel, which is it felt so much like the old West, and like they're all prospectors, you know, like gold prospectors as well. So there was a lot of parallels. Like everybody's out to find the next thing.
And I imagine it'd be very sandy there as well.
Yeah. But at the same time, I always feel at least when I watch the movies for those sorts of things, while there's definitely not all everybody's good, I do feel like there's this sort of more community spirit in that, whereas I did not feel that in this.
Yeah, it was kind of everybody for themselves.
Yeah. And it was very, very much like that. Or the other thing we experienced was pure outright bullying. And I was just like, I'm okay with bullying, but does he have no friends?
It really didn't with Connor, it really didn't delve into anything else except his family. It's like, obviously he did like have friends there, because you see in the end he goes up and one of his friends talks to him. He's like, oh, my schoolmates, my classmates. So it sort of hinted that he did have friends and he had a school life and things like that, but he didn't talk about that. The whole thing was basically about family, basically about the members of the family. It didn't really diverge much.
Yeah, and then maybe it comes a little bit from the way these towns came to prosperity. It's a little bit like I talked about it being a Wild West, but there was no sheriff. It was almost more like medievalness, maybe. They had sheriffs too, but like the lords who actually came to prosperity through, you know, I guess mafia type work, you know, knocking off everybody. So that, to your point, there isn't a sense of community, because like it definitely felt that. And I think it's also because the people we were dealing with were in the shanty towns, they were in the slums. They weren't the rich people. Maybe that was part of it as well. But I actually have to agree, because I think that in shanty towns and slums there is probably more of a sense of community and the real humanity spirit, and then you're right, that wasn't really there. So
like you've got a couple of books at the very end, like especially when Connor went back to the house and there was that family that was in his house, and he was just like, it's all good, dude. And like the family themselves, they were quite clearly community minded. Connor and Vic were both trying to save people, things along those lines. But then everybody else was just scavenging. They weren't trying to help anyone. So it's just like this. Are they the only people who are nice? What? But I think what you said, Kim, about the fact that he clearly had friends and stuff, I think it's all in Hugh Howie's head, and he just didn't tell us those.
Yeah.
And Mel was just frozen for a second. I think she finished her sentence.
Oh yeah, are you I've got the reading. Are these the same reading notes?
I don't know. I just googled reading questions, and that was the first thing.
Well, I was going to bring that up as a there was questions at the end of mine.
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah.
And I thought,
I didn't see that. I didn't get either. I didn't get ones at the end of mine, or I didn't look that far forward.
Well, I always loved
it's
that about
right
how
at the back, like the very back. Yeah, because
he has good questions for us to look at, because he did that with all the books, and I always thought, there's a man who knows his book is going to be like, you know, talked about. Here's some things to help you.
That makes it, you know, and helps us stay on topic.
Actually, that is one thing we did very well when we did the Hangout for the Silo series. We stayed on topic.
There was so much to talk about, though.
Yeah, that's true too.
I think that's a good thing. He makes his books a fast pace. He packs a lot into a short book. Yeah.
Like I was a bit frustrated while I was reading it, and I was like, "Why?" You know, looking at me like, "Why aren't you reading?" I'm like, "It's not that it's not good. The prose is excellent. It's just sometimes very difficult because people are sad all the time."
Yeah, it's because it's not a nice world, really.
No,
it's not. And I think
it's definitely dystopia.
it's definitely a dystopia.
Yeah.
And at least like in Wool and things like that, I felt like there was friendship and camaraderie and things that were worth looking forward to. And I
And
was like,
romance. Yeah.
Mhm.
so, okay, we're going to get onto the Connor's romance, and at some point I might explode. I'm sorry in advance.
Okay. Sure. Did anyone else other than me basically get like a map up once it was confirmed it was Denver?
Yep.
Yes.
No,
Yeah,
Oh,
I did
no,
not.
I
did
did.
that.
But when I'm like Colorado, Denver, of course.
Yeah.
Denver.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got that
I can't
very
remember. I
early.
think it was before that, but I was like, yeah, looking at it because I could tell she was at the international airport.
Yes.
And then I looked that up to see what the tent thing was that she talked about.
Mm.
But there was talk of the two places, there were the two towns, and I can't remember the names.
Low Pub was one, which was
Yeah.
Pueblo. Is that how you say
Pueblo,
it?
yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
Pueblo. Yeah, Pueblo. Yeah.
And I was like,
And the
I
other
didn't get that because I don't know geography, the geography of America well enough.
I just
but
looked around until I thought, oh,
Yeah.
that looks like it. And then the other one was like way more obvious. And I thought to myself, I reckon Denver is Denver.
Springton was Colorado Springs.
Springton, Colorado Springs. That was it. Yeah, Springston was
That's
Colorado
it, yeah.
Springs.
Yeah.
And then they were all in a line.
But see,
And
that was
she-
one of the things. How close are those places? Because I was like, after she detated the nuclear bomb, I was like, are they far enough away to be safe? Because
I thought that too. I thought you're screwed.
I thought that. I really.
Well,
Because
when
not
they're
just that,
on the
but she was-
Safa,
But where
when
was
they
the
go
town
there,
that they
how
were
long did it
blowing
take
up?
them to
Because
go?
that's the bit I couldn't work out.
But the thing was,
that's Low
that-
Pub, so it was south of Shantytown, south of Springton.
Uh,
But they left in the.
But when at the very, very end, when she went away to go and took the nuke with her,
Yeah.
but she only walked for 5 days. Unless
5
I've,
days?
unless
Wow.
I've confused
12 to 14.
myself.
strong wind, into strong wind. She was walking into the wind.
Mm.
So I think at best that's actually more like 2.5 days walk.
So do you think she was in Kansas City? Because that's the bit that I couldn't work out where she was blowing up.
Well, it has to be near a river, I think, from their description.
Okay, because there's Colorado, like Springston. That was. I don't think they used a nuke to blow that up. I think they just, or did they? I know that they went and planted all the stuff around the
they
wall.
They just blew
I think
the
it was
wall.
just C4 or something.
Yeah, that was
It
just
said
on the
white
wall.
low, so we
Because if it was a nuke, it would have like flattened them.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. Yeah. The nuke that she had the nuke. She went out to. So that's the thing I couldn't work out, is that where it was that they were blowing,
Wherever
like you said,
they were doing the mining or whatever it was that they were doing.
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, I'm like, where would he even have gotten the nuke?
Yeah, I don't
No,
understand
it's
why there was
obvious.
a nuke there.
Okay, so I
Hang
looked
on,
this
okay.
up. In Denver, there is, and I kind of worked out from where they were talking, because in it, there's actually a huge army defense area.
Oh, is
So
there a
he's-
silo there?
I don't know, but maybe Hugh Howie's making a few assumptions.
Mm.
But yeah, there's a big, like I looked up, like I think I put armed forces or something in and around, and it comes up as there's this big area.
Oh, that's Colorado Springs is where Cheyenne Mountain is. Isn't that what they usually use for like the bunker that the president flies to in movies to hide out if there's nuclear
Okay.
war or something?
Which one? What's it
Cheyenne
called?
Mountain.
Oh.
Cheyenne Mountain. I'm pretty sure I just watched. What did I just watch? The new Independence Day. I'm pretty sure they go to Cheyenne Mountain.
I haven't
Oh.
seen that yet. I've been too scared to watch it.
Yeah. I actually haven't had time.
For me, it's I just feel like they're going to destroy my high school years, and I don't want that. It'd be like if they went back and did like a Clueless 2. I'd be like,
Yeah.
Didn't they do a Clueless? I was just surprised they haven't done a Clueless 2.
I don't want them to, and if they do, I won't watch it. Clueless would not work for a sequel. It would not work. Anyway,
No, it would not.
what concerned me about the nuke wasn't so much that there might be a nuke there. That's a chance. But nuclear bombs are kept in silos usually, and they're usually below ground, and
Yeah.
they only they didn't go
They're
down to
already
the ground.
going down. Yeah. That's a good point.
So I was like,
That's a good point.
how was it sitting not down as far as the actual buildings? And how did they even know if it was suspended that it was suspended? Like, what?
Yeah. The only theory I've just thought is that perhaps it wasn't a nuke, but more of a missile, so it was attached to a plane, perhaps.
That might be
there is a
That
defence airport. There's a Buckley Air Force Base in the area, like in this hole.
Yeah,
so that could have been it.
Yeah, that makes more sense than anything else so far that I've got. So
Plus, that would make it quite lightweight, like comparatively. So that could work.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe it was all hooked up, ready to rock and roll, for whatever the event was.
Yeah, which I found weird.
They what? Sorry.
They said it was a sphere, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of thinking through. And I mean, maybe that's
It
not
gave off heat.
accurate. Which is
And then
totally.
she carried it.
Yeah, that would be right. I would say that it would give off some sort of heat,
especially if it's been buried for as long as it has been, because it would be the whatever's in it, the uranium or the isotope would be degrading and letting off heat.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's like you know as soon as that they found it and they're talking about it being heavy, you're like, oh God, they've got a bomb. Jesus Christ. All you had to do was say it was heavy.
And then what's interesting is there's a major, okay, that's kind of cool. I love looking at maps. I love maps. From where they are, from Denver, Colorado, and Pueblo or Low Pub to the west, there's a mountain range. So that would be really interesting. Like, what will happen when they kind of get across what looks like a big plain and kind of hit.
That's the way, he said that, told them to go the west.
You need to go west, yeah.
See, up until we started discussing the geography, I was pretty sure I probably wouldn't read another book. And now you're giving me geography, and I'm like, geography is winning me over. This is weird.
Yeah, it does. No, geography gets me. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but like how it could affect the story, it sort of gives you ideas, and you're like, oh, I could deal with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, because what's on the other side? Who knows?
Plus, maybe he's going to do a reverse of what he did with the Silo series, where he had the first one with some hope, and then the second one with no hope. So this one is gone with no hope, and maybe he'll give us hope in the second one.
Indeed. And then dash all our spirits in the third one.
No doubt. He certainly dashed me a fair bit in the last of the Silo series. So,
indeed, we lost some good people.
Yes, we did.
To walk from Colorado Springs to Kansas, it would take 121 hours.
Oh, right.
If you're thinking that's fair, that's 5 days against the wind. 5 days plus against the wind.
I wonder if it's Granby.
The father said it took him 7 days, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's
Granby.
Granby.
Didn't they say they were camping and they only brought enough food and water to wait for her for 5 days, and then they had to pack up and go? And that's when it started raining. Like they were like, "Oh, we'll just wait."
But the rain is not when the bomb happened. I think the bomb happened earlier than
happened
that.
a few days after that.
I'm not disputing that she did it in 5 days. I think that's fine.
That's what I mean. She
didn't walk.
Actually, correction, 196 because I put Kansas, not Kansas City.
Did she sail?
6
Did she
hours.
sail?
No, she walked.
No, she sailed.
Did she?
I could have sworn she sailed.
I don't know.
She walked. I'm pretty sure she walked.
Maybe she did overall.
Yeah, because she had the backpack. She put the bag on her back and walked. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's not very far away to be from a nuke going off.
No, I imagine there's going to be some fallout for them.
Yeah. Because I think on the other side of the crack there wasn't so much sand.
Something
I know
about
that
from the mining.
Yeah. I know that bombs are a lot cleaner than they were. But,
and it could be a small one.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that she could carry it or haul it is a good sign.
Yeah.
There we go. 8 days. 8 days to walk from Colorado Springs to Kansas City.
Is that
Kansas
walking
City.
24 hours? Is that accounting for breaks and things?
No.
Right. Because there's also this place called, there's Wichita. There's also a place kind of, if she's walking from Pueblo or Colorado Springs, called Grand Bend, which I don't know why it was in my head, but there's a river there. So that could also be maybe where she's aiming for. There was a name of the city, and I don't remember, or the name of the, like, where they were mining, and I don't remember the name.
Kansas City has a river running through it.
Okay, so maybe it is Kansas
Missouri
City.
River. Missouri River. It sort of comes down from the north, and goes through Kansas City, and then keeps going east.
It's like that's where there's like 2 rivers that intersect. Actually, looking at this map, there's Missouri.
Oh yeah, there's a
and then
little
this
one that goes through.
The Kansas, the
River.
Kansas and the Missouri come together.
Kansas sort of goes along from Manhattan. It then sort of peters out.
And actually, Kansas City.
I was just looking at the reviews in the front, review comments in the front of the book. There's one from the Sydney Morning Herald.
Huh.
Ah.
Oh, there's also one from the Byte Book Blog Australia. Got a few Australian mentions in here. Sorry.
I did see something.
All right. So I'm going to pull us off the geography a bit. Everyone's good?
Yep, sorry. It's fascinating, but yes.
I'm with you entirely, but we'll probably just keep speculating and never really get full answers. So I'm going to pull us off. I want to comment on the start of this book, the first section, and how good he pulled you in and then killed you in that last chapter. Was not everybody screaming when we switched to Hap's head?
Not so much. Yeah. Not so bad with Hap, because that was a pretty short chapter, wasn't it? Just
yeah, it
like
was
2 pages.
It was
but I wish he'd stay. You'd want him to stay on Palmer.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even so much to stay on Palmer. I mean, I didn't really want to switch, but it was fine to switch. But to switch into Hap's head after what he'd just done to Palmer, I was like, no! I couldn't pick the book up again for 2 days.
Very good.
And then when I did, I discovered it was one short chapter, and then Hap died, and I was like, oh, okay, so I had a fit over nothing.
Well, and then
that was probably it. So I just went ahead and read it.
Yeah, I quite liked that, because you actually got to see him get his comeuppance, whereas and have that moment with him where he was like, oh shit, I've been screwed over, just like I just screwed him over. Whereas if you hadn't had that,
liked it once I read it.
Run into him on the way up, and it wouldn't have had the same impact, him just finding his body.
No, I agree. Yeah. No, I agree. I totally am very happy he did it now, because I definitely liked watching him getting his comeuppance. Revenge for the win. But it was the switching, like before I actually read the chapter, and the fact that I knew I had to go into his head. I was like, I don't want to be in his head.
Hey, did Christy want to join us? Did you find out?
Oh, no, Chrissy doesn't want to do it tonight. She's not available tonight. She just wants to do a check at some point.
Oh, okay. That's what you're doing?
Because her feedback on the census was that she doesn't have the ability to use a device, and she's shy. So, but I was like, look, you can chat with us on chat, and that's cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I was just being concerned.
Anyway, I really just wanted to bring that up, because I just like to point out that Hugh Howey is very good with the emotional roller coaster type thing.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us to a couple of the first 2 questions from the reading group questions. They seem like a good place. So the first 2 questions are, when Palmer hears how deep he will be diving, he is incredibly nervous, but never considers pulling out of the mission. Do you think this is purely because he wants payment for the dive, or do you think he has other reasons? Is he trying to prove himself? If so, to whom? Second question, once they make it down to Denver, Hap very quickly betrays Palmer. Is his betrayal driven by fear or by the want to be the man who discovered the hidden city? Do you feel Hap deserved what happened to him when he reached the surface? So what do we think the 2 boys' reasons are for doing the dive and not, like, turning back or, doing things differently? And are we pleased with the outcome for Hap?
I definitely think that he was doing the dive for more than just the money. He was doing it for the challenge of it. And I don't think he was trying to prove himself to anybody else necessarily, but to himself, to prove that he could be as good as, maybe kind of trying to prove himself to his sister, but not directly, like prove to himself that he could be as good as his sister.
I think he was just testing his limits a bit, like, you know, the next step. I know that I can't be as good as my sister right now, but I want to keep trying the next step to keep improving.
A bit recklessly, mind you. But
yeah, but then I think it's because they knew what they were doing when they hired those guys.
They hired people who were willing to take risks and to prove themselves.
Yeah, and that, they were, and then wouldn't be necessarily missed because they're kind of young and stupid.
Yeah, they'll be just like, oh, they did something stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially that they say they lose divers all the time, so divers going missing isn't a strange thing.
No, it was a fairly clear, easy risk for them to take doing it. It has even demonstrated by the fact that 2 of them had already gone missing and nobody minded. So,
and then once they make it down, Hap very quickly betrays Palmer, driven by fear. I don't know what it was with Hap. I think I'm trying to remember back to that scene, but I felt like he calculated that the whole time that might be what he would do, because he wasn't stressed at all about losing his losing oxygen. And Palmer was very aware of it the whole time, of trying to conserve, and he was like looking at going, he was being much more reckless with it. And I think Hap kind of had made this, that was what it felt like to me, like he'd made a calculated decision.
I felt like that too.
I thought it was more spur, because I was like, how would he know that they were going to be able to get into a building to be able to get the air off him? Like, I couldn't see them fighting in the suits in the sand to do that. So I sort of felt like it was more impulsive, like he sees an opportunity to save himself and he took it.
Yeah.
But then why did he keep going?
Seemed to feel, I felt like Hap knew more about the job, and that Hap, I think Hap felt pretty sure, and sometimes in the way that, you know, when we're young, we just believe in positive things. I think he was positive they were going to find it.
Because they did offer like a lot of money, so he knew it was something big. I think he just took the opportunity to maybe it was a little bit driven by fear, but I think it was just the opportunity that he could get all the glory and all of that and save himself. Because if he actually thought about it, and what you get to know from Palmer would have come back for him. So it seems like either he was just totally mental on the way down, or he really did like decide to take the opportunity and get everything for himself.
Because they make a point of saying, I was just going to say, they make a point of saying that he knew that he was past his halfway point in his air. Like, why did he keep going past the halfway point? Wouldn't if you used half your air, wouldn't you kind of go, shit, I have to turn around and go back now?
I don't really know.
But he didn't. Why didn't he do that? Yeah.
I don't know. I really wasn't sure on that side. Like, I feel like perhaps, I don't know, it's hard to sort of say his motivations there. I just don't, I didn't strike me as that calculating.
Yeah.
So that's why I think he just took the opportunity when he saw it. He just seized the opportunity when he saw it. I don't think he planned the whole thing.
Because to me, it felt like he was just so excited and eager about the idea of finding Danvale that he let himself go past that halfway mark. And then there was this fear factor. And rather than going, oh, it's Palmer, he's totally loyal, he'll totally come back for me, he just went, I'm not losing the opportunity to be able to go back.
And maybe the world that they grew up in is kind of a world of you can't really trust anybody but yourself, and even though, you know, he should know that he's okay, like Palmer would come back for him.
I think the other thing
can't let himself do that, have that amount of trust.
I think the other thing too is that our impression of Hap in that first section is that he's just his friend who got lost when he made this decision. like in terms of, you know, the friendship connection. But then everybody else after that point, all of the other siblings, when they think about Hap, they're like, he's awful. He shouldn't. Palmer shouldn't hang out with him, and all this sort of stuff. I was like, nobody talked about him being a bad person at all until we went into these other people's heads, and I'm like,
I think it's just one of those things that when you're young, you don't necessarily see. Sometimes you just don't see people for who they are. You know, Palmer's a good person, and I'm sure that Hap is great fun to be. Like I kind of know because I've been there, you know, myself when I was younger.
Yeah,
it's great fun to be around. But what often happens is you're giving more and they're taking it, and that's what I kind of felt with Hap, was that it was that kind of friendship, and I think Palmer would have woken up to it at some point. Even though his family was, you know, probably saying that Hap's no his bad news, but I think it's hard when you're young because you also just don't know where your friendships are. And from what we're seeing in this world, it's hard. You don't know who your friends are. So whilst it's friendship, it's you know, out there. Do you? Because I can't remember. Do you think Hap was going to go back for him or not when he was getting hauled up?
No.
I think once Hap got there, if he had any guilt at all, he would be just like, oh, he's already dead. There's nothing I can do. He would have convinced himself. Nothing I can do.
That's what he said, wasn't he? Yeah, because that's what he said, wasn't he? He said, oh, it's just me.
And he would have convinced himself that. Yeah.
Because he's that kind of person.
Yeah, and I think while I don't necessarily think Hap planned to steal Palmer's heir, I do think that Palmer probably would never have attempted that dive without Palmer with him.
Yeah, I actually felt that way, like that he was kind of befriending him because he knew he was so good at diving, and kind of going, well, I'm going to get somewhere if I hang around this guy, whereas Palmer really thought he was just his friend.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because it strikes me as Hap's the talker. He's the person he's got a good line of chat, but he hasn't got much to back up for it. So he needed his friend to kind of close the deal.
Yeah.
So I do remember now thinking when it all kind of came back down on him, I was like, yeah, well, that serves you right. And it was unsurprising, really, because at the beginning, when that guy was holding everything with the suits, and he said, there's already people gone down. Actually, can we talk about that briefly? It's not the next thing in the reading notes, but the madman that
Jaeger or whatever his name was.
Yeah, can we talk about that? Because I kind of got a bit like, who, how, what? How long's he been there? And he's only just met him. Like, I was trying to work it out.
Oh, I think Jaeger was the other town's Graham, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And
the diver that Palmer ran into. Sorry.
Sorry. Right. Oh, the madman. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking madman in terms of, doing crazy shit on the...
That was my fault. That was my fault. Yeah. I said Hap, I meant Palmer, the madman that Palmer runs into.
Yes.
And I kind of got a bit confused about when and how the timeline kind of stuff happened, because I was like, he was in there for a few days, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He'd been in there for a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty much, he was out of his water. He didn't have any food.
He did have food.
I think it was 4 days. I think it ended up, he averaged, like, he couldn't work it out, but it was around about 4 days he was in there.
I thought that was how long Palmer had been in there.
No, sorry, Palmer, yeah. I'd say the other guy, maybe a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's it.
Like a long time for
the other guy.
Because he survived longer by eating his friend, and so that gives you moisture as well as food.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And I'm thinking once they lost those divers, they went and got Palmer and Hap. So Palmer and Hap were the next ones in line. So I'd say it'd be more, 1 to 2 weeks maybe, Yeah. That's enough to, you have your friend die and start eating him and just totally lose your mind in a pitch black world, because there was, once the dive light went out, it's just black.
The funny thing is when he showed up and he initially described him as an animal, my brain went to a whole new story, and I was like, there's life down here and there's things going on.
Me too. Me too.
Oh, I wrote an entire book in those seconds.
I did too.
There you go. Good, not alone. Sounds like we all seem to have very similar experiences with reading this book. The aha moment when you figured out that Denver was Denver.
Yeah,
I figured that out pretty early though, because as soon as they said Colorado,
That's how I did the same thing. Yeah.
it was like, oh, yeah. But the other ones I didn't get as early, like probably because I don't know places in Colorado. Like I know Denver because.
I just didn't bother to go look at a map. I was like, I'm fine. I've got the idea now. I didn't worry that these places are real. I figured, yeah, they are, and I just left it at that.
Yeah.
I didn't try to make the associations.
I didn't know Pueblo until I looked up the map just then. But of
That
course,
was the
Colorado
one that I-
Springs is
Yeah.
that's actually pretty funny. Low Pueblo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was why that one didn't get it. I didn't put that together for that one
Mm.
Yeah.
until they
that's
kind
cool.
of spelled it out.
But I'm wondering though, if the fact that most of us seem to have that sort of similar experience, is that a sign that Hugh Howey is a really good writer who can write for a particular experience and really guide you?
Probably.
Or is it just that we're all so similar?
Could be a little from column A, a little from column B.
Yeah, like Karina hate like 30 pages in, she was bored. Like, whereas I was like,
because I was like, oh, maybe.
like whereas I was like,
oh.
I was like this world building, and it's just tension is just rising the whole time in that first chapter.
Well, I must
Where are
admit,
they going?
one of
What
the
are they
things you
looking for?
mentioned that I actually agree with her that I wasn't fussed on was all of the terminology for the different types of sand.
No,
I was
yeah.
like,
I'm like, I get it. I know what he means. It's just sand. It's that sand that's in that part there. That's
yes,
what it
you
is.
don't need to describe.
You don't need to describe it.
Or
Yeah, and I was
if
on
you're
a
going to
Kindle,
do
so was yours all asterisked?
yeah, it was asterisk at the
Oh,
bottom.
it
of
had,
the page.
yeah.
Yeah, so because it kind of got distracting after a while. I was like, I get it, Sam. You don't need to tell me. I understand the context that you're putting it in.
Mine was like little footnotes, so it had like the 4 or 3.
Yeah, I had that
I
on
had
Kindle too. It's really distracting. I'm like, I get
There
it.
was only, like I was frustrated because
I get it.
use the word more often so that it's worth my knowing this description. Otherwise,
through like once.
yeah, and but the thing that there was one reason I could think of to justify it, and that's that he wanted to give the feeling like the Inuit in Alaska.
That was what I thought.
And how they have many words to describe snow.
Yeah.
And I felt like
that was the very first thing I thought. But I also thought it was kind of a little bit heavy-handed in that he could have done that. Given you all these different ways of describing the sand. We still would have known he meant sand.
Yes.
You know, when they said, oh, the drift had come in, we would have known that meant sand.
No, that means that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't need
And
it to be spelled out for us.
We totally got it. Like, that's what I mean. It was like, no, I get that you're talking about it sand in a different form. I get it.
Yeah.
If you described it, you don't need to describe it again.
It makes me wonder, though, did say his editor make him do it?
Yeah.
Maybe his editor comes like from the middle of very lush tropical USA where he's never seen sand in his life.
His editor lives in Hawaii and he's like, there's only one kind of sand around here. So what sand bitches of Hawaii? Now I want to go Hawaii. Don't we all? I was following brief diversion. I was following someone I follow on Snapchat. She went to Bali for a week with her husband and son, and I just watched all the Snapchats going, I know I've just come off a week in Queensland, but fuck, I want to go to Bali.
Yeah, one of my workmates went to Bali and she went hiking as well. So she was up near the volcano when it erupted, actually. Like when it started spewing smoke and stuff. She goes, we're probably a bit too close because they went hiking with the tour group. But every photo she posts, I'm like, I'm so jealous.
And all I'm thinking while we're talking about Bali is humidity.
But she's like young and skinny, and most of the photos she's in a bikini, and all her friends are in bikinis.
Right. I'm just like, Oh, this is my friend, my Snapchat friend, basically because a lot of them in Bali, you get these kind of villas, and they all have their own private pools, and that's all she did. Like that's all they did. Like there's no humidity because you're just in the pool, and I'm like,
guys, meetup 2018.
I like
Bali.
it. I'm up for it. We get a villa, we get a pool, we're in there, we're doing our board games in the pool.
Yep. Sit around, serve me drinks.
Yeah. Well,
we just laminate all the cards.
She just kept posting all of that because that's all the service comes in, and she's just like having cocktails. She's like, and in all fairness, she's like, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. She's having her first cocktail, but she's been awake since 5 or 6 with her son, and they go to bed at like 9. She's like, is it too early? No. And all the cocktails are amazing, and I'm just. There was this one. She even told me what it was because I asked, and it had like coconut cream in it. Oh, thank you. Lovely cup of tea. I get to enjoy my friends. Oh, sorry. Oh, you can hear me outside. Apparently, I'm very loud.
I might get in trouble for the same thing. Matt's always telling me the same thing. That's why he came and subtly closed the door before.
You're loud.
Oh, that's what Kevin's just done.
don't start hangout without a closed door.
I normally don't, but because I was in and out from saying goodnight to Xander, and then Claire was crying, and I was kind of like, do I go? Do I go and take over from Matt? Is he doing all right?
Yeah.
She's been so cranky lately, and like, the only thing that will settle her down is food. Like, even when she's not hungry, it's the only thing that will make her stop crying, and it's very frustrating for Matt because you can't do that. It's frustrating.
I could try, but I wouldn't
because I don't get a break. Yeah.
See, my cats just look at me like I'm weird. That's it. I'm fine. I'm very lucky.
He just goes to bed. Like, he goes and sleeps in the spare bedroom because he's like, you're not going to come to bed at a reasonable time, and even when you do, you won't be able to sleep. So I'm going to sleep in the spare bedroom. So hangout nights, I don't get to sleep with my partner.
You get the whole bed to yourself. That's the bonus.
Yeah, I know. It's not that I mind too much because it means I don't have to tiptoe into bed and then lay there for an hour trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the kids? And there was a comment made by the mother, whose name I've completely forgotten.
Rose.
Rose.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was thinking it was a flower like her stepdaughter. And she said, and it took me a while to get it, but I think I got it where she says, "You're all thieves. I named you all thieves."
Yes, that was awful.
It took me a while to get it,
thing.
and I was like, "Oh, con her palm, like palming stuff."
Con Rob.
Yeah. And then Rob, like, yeah. So I was
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, got it now.
Mm.
Yeah, it took me a while. I was thinking, I'm not sure I'm understanding this right, and then I don't know.
It took me a second, but I'm like, palm, con, palmer.
Yeah.
Con. Rob
Yeah,
was
I think she was just saying that, though. I don't think that was really.
Yeah.
No,
I think
she just figured it out and was like, yeah, I can use that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I think she felt like, I felt it was really poignant to sort of figure out from Vic's point of view and things like that about, she was really just making do. She was doing the best she could, and she was just making do under the best of the circumstances. And so it's really interesting to sort of see how much she feels hurt, I think, by how the kids see, like, not necessarily the kids have been mean or anything, but that she feels judged by the kids. Because she's
and that
judging
they avoid her. Yeah.
Well, I think it's also because they've lost this communication. Okay. Let's get into Rose, because I thought this was really interesting. Because she didn't communicate with them what she was doing. I feel in some ways they stopped communicating with her.
Yeah.
Because they found out from everybody else.
Yeah.
As much as she thinks that they've got a problem with her profession, the truth was that for Vic, she didn't have a problem with the profession. She had a problem with the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't that, and it was because of other stuff that had happened to Vic, which I got the sense she never told Rose about.
Yeah.
That, and it's kind of like, well, because Rose stopped being stopped communicating and being transparent with her children about what she was having to do, that she kind of lost that from them as well, and that they all just kept making assumptions about one another.
And you could see how that was continuing down the line. It wasn't just Rose and the kids not communicating. It was the kids and the kids not communicating with each other properly either. They weren't genuinely talking about anything, about how they felt and how they wanted, what they want to do and what their plans were. They weren't talking about anything.
Yeah.
The whole, I think that again comes back to the hope thing for me, because there was not even any hope amongst the family.
And not till Violet shows up. Violet is what kind of pulled them all in a different direction, you know, kind of woke them up.
And I think a good reason for that too is we were also not in Rob's head. He might have been the one person who we might have been able to get a feeling of hope from, but we weren't in his head to get it.
I'll be hoping that in future ones we maybe hear from him that he's, you know, starting to grow up a bit, and we get, I mean, you don't know what he's going to do with future books, but it might not even be these people at all.
The funny thing is that Rob's all I really want to hear about. I don't actually, Violet I want hearing more about too, but Rob and Violet are the two at the end who really, all I really wanted to hear about.
Yeah, because Rob's quite
clever. Luna?
I think so. Rob's quite clearly shown to be the really smart one, like hooking up the boots, and he knows what's going on with his brother. But his brother is it his brother who can't realize it well? I can't remember whether
brother that
like he kind of goes, I think he was, I remember was it Rob was saying, I thought it was him saying he waited for his brother to get to you know, get to his own conclusion about it or something. Maybe that was because Connor was walking out. Was it no? Who was walking out on who?
Connor was walking out on Rob.
Yeah, Connor was walking out on Rob, and he figured it out, I think.
But I had no grudge against Connor over that, because I'm sorry, but everybody else had done it to him.
Yeah, exactly. And Connor had pretty much been the one that stayed for Rob. No one else did.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, he was just at the end of his rope. He had nothing left, and that's all it was.
Yeah,
absolutely. I was fine with that. He was just I can't quite remember. Sorry, I should have kind of highlighted it. They have this interesting question here about how they all cope differently with their father's abandonment. How do they cope, and compare how they cope with what their mother does? Who do you think is most affected by loss and why?
I think they actually all coped pretty much the same way. They all shut down.
Yeah.
I think the difference too was the ages. Like, I think Rob was coping better in some ways than the others, because he never knew his father. He didn't know, and not just he didn't know his father, he didn't remember what it was like when they were rich. And
and he has only ever known his mother cognitively being a brothel mistress. That's all he's ever known his mother to be. He's never known her previously. So he's just way more accepting. Like, I think he's the one who said we need to take Violet to mum, or, you know. And I think that was that might be where I'm thinking, where he and he's trying to get Connor, because even though we're not in Rob's head, I get the sense like we were trying to get Connor to think. Now, were we in Rob's head at any point?
I think only at I'm not 100% on this, but only when we were first in the tent before we got all of Connor's backstory. I think that was from Rob's perspective, listening to Connor tell him the stories about his dad. And then we went back in time to before the tent visit, and then it was all Connor.
Right. Because I thought there was a kind of this, there's this thing where Rob knows what they should do, but he has to kind of, there was this bit where he was talking about how he knew that Connor wouldn't like take him seriously, and Connor needed to reach the same conclusion in a way without like Rob, like what we were saying, like Rob's like kind of the smart one. He would work things out really quickly.
Yeah.
But and I don't know if that's come from the fact that he has no expectations, and that have been broken or reset.
Rob almost expected, his only expectation was that Connor was going to eventually do this.
Yeah. She's really sad.
Yeah.
Really sad.
The whole, okay, I'm going to get into female aspects of this.
Go for it.
Okay. I'm not going to get to my full angry one yet, though. I'll start off with Vic, though. Vic's whole, of course, Palmer was the one thing. Did anybody else associate that with the whole trope with the female discovers the one kind of thing, and it can never actually be her in the stories like The Matrix and things along those lines? Like, they've got this perfectly capable female who could be the one, and it's never her because it's always going to be her love interest. In this case, obviously, it wasn't a love interest, but my point still stands because it's her brother, and she's immediately like, of course it was him. It couldn't be me, even though she's better at it.
I think when she herself was referring to that, she's referring back to when she remembers her brother sitting on her dad's knee, even though she was the eldest. She describes that he's talking to Palmer about how he'll be a great diver like him someday, and Vic's like, never talk to me like that. How come it's not me? And I think that's something that drove her as well to be the best diver, that she wanted to prove herself, because no one ever said to her, oh, you can do this, you'll be the best at this. So she didn't really have that thing. So when she was referring to it herself, that's what I think she was referring. Well, that would be what she was referring to. That, of course, it would be Palmer.
Yeah, but I wanted her to be angry about it, though. Like, I was like, I wanted to be, of course, it's freaking Palmer.
Yeah, I think maybe the anger was diffused by the fact that it was her brother and it was someone she did care about, whether she admitted that she cared much about her family or not.
Yeah,
I think if it had been someone else that wasn't related to her, she would have been pissed. But I think it diffused her anger that it was Palmer and not some random other person.
Of course, I don't think it could have been her in the end because A, the location had to be given to them, and B, she wouldn't have taken that job, even though she could have done it.
Exactly.
They wouldn't have offered it to her. She was too well known.
Yeah, that's true too. So
yeah, exactly.
She was too well known. She was too experienced.
Questions if she disappeared.
Yeah. Which is what we were talking about before. Like, Hat was just the right kind of, so, you know, like in their face kind of person. Yeah, exactly.
And if the fact that she ran around with rebels was known widely enough, they would never have chosen her ever either.
It's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just worried about, I'm bothered by the fact that she just immediately jumped there. Like, of course it was him. I was just like, I don't know. I'm not going to go, I'm not doing the mother. If you guys wanted to talk something about that, we can do that. But I was particularly bothered by the scene with Connor with his girlfriend, whose name I cannot remember. Because she's
it's a weird name, Gloriella or something.
Yeah, something like that. Not important enough to really be mentioned properly, but, you know, she's there. That whole scene when he goes sees her before they head off had me screaming. Like, almost.
It was there was no development whatsoever. It just doesn't, it's like it almost seemed like they talked one day and then they're getting it on.
Yeah.
I'm like, of course.
Not what had me screaming, although that was definitely one of my parts of my frustrations. No. It was the whole scene about how, I've got to find it, how she's like, but I want to come with you. My brother's there. And he's like, oh no, you can't come with me because I'll be worried about you. But you're going with your sister. And I was just like, what?
Yeah. That was annoying.
I was just like, you've got to be fun. Oh, and then she's like,
it's a trope that they do all the time, isn't it? That whole, oh yes, but you know, it's too dangerous for you.
You can't go. Somehow it's dangerous
when that happens.
Hey, like, you've got
let's face it,
something bad happens to the person on the other end anyway.
Yeah.
She would have been pretty hopeless anyway.
I know, but that's not the point.
But why
he should have been hopeless. He should have been
why
hopeless.
write it in? My question is, why write it in?
Exactly. It would have been
Really
absolutely
good.
fine if he didn't include anything about Lorelai in the whole thing. It really wouldn't have made a
Well,
difference
no,
at all
I
in the
mean
book.
more along the lines of her wanting to go with it. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It could have been just like, I'm going to stay here with my family and take care of them, or something on those lines.
Yeah.
It didn't have the discussion at all. And they could have still slept together, and I would have still been fine with that scene, even though I would have been just still a bit like, really, they just slept together? I still could have dealt with that better. But that little discussion right before that, and then they sleep together, I was just, man wrote this, didn't he?
I mean, I get them sleeping together. Like the world is just like their world is like coming down, crumbling apart. That's what people do in situations like that sometimes. But yeah, it could have been done better. That part, much better.
Anyway, that was
What's
that
your
was
next-
my almost chucked the book. It's still intact. It's okay, Sarah. I didn't actually chuck it.
What was your next gripe, Mel?
Sorry.
You had any more
Female
gripes?
Wild. I'm pretty sure that this story does not meet the Bechdel test. Because the only two females who talk to each other are Vic and her mum. Because it's sorry, I take it back. There's not the only two females. Violet talks to Rose as well, but they're always talking about a man.
There's not enough female characters in there for them to talk about another woman.
Yeah.
There's only 3 of them.
Well, they don't have to talk about another woman. They just have to not talk about a man.
Yeah, good point. But it's a very character-driven book, so it makes it very hard.
Enough. And to your point, there just aren't enough girls. There's not enough women for them to talk about. Like the only time, the only other character they could have talked about, Vic and her mother, could have talked about Violet. That's the only other one they could have talked about. Because you're right, there's an awful lot of men in there.
There's an awful lot of men, and the females that are in it, apart from Vic, are treated very poorly. In fact, actually, if you look at it, Vic's treated very poorly as well. She's raped, and her boyfriend at the time is not treating her very nicely.
No, I didn't like.
I shed no tears when he died.
Nope.
No, neither did I. I was like, no, sweetie, you don't need him.
Nope.
So I was just like, so not only do we have very few female characters, they're all being treated like shit, especially mostly sexually. Violet's the only one who didn't get treated sexually badly, in my opinion, and that's only because she's a child.
Well, the other thing with the boyfriend, who I can't remember the name of,
Marco.
Like that whole scene with them at the beginning really rubbed me the wrong way. Then, but having read further on and knowing her history and how she'd been raped, like that made it even worse. Looking back on that, how they were together, that makes it even worse. That she's been through that trauma and he's still carrying on like that. And I'm like,
Yep.
I'm glad she threw him 30 feet in the air.
Yeah, so was I. I was like, you need to do that a bit more.
Maybe you shouldn't have made the sand so soft under him. Maybe just a little less soft.
The whole thing with the trapping people in the sand thing was just really disturbing to me.
Yeah. That was,
The whole bit around the technology too, like I didn't know if this was just some kind of magic technology that I was supposed to believe in. There wasn't enough in the magic system for me to understand how it really worked.
Yeah, but I'm
see,
sure
that's what we didn't really get Rob's perspective. If you had Rob's perspective, we may have understood it a bit more because he was the tech guy. He was the tech genius.
The funny thing is it reminded me of The Abyss. Have you guys ever read the book for The Abyss, the movie?
No, I've only seen the movie.
Oh, okay. A, good movie. Please watch it. B, there's actually a book that's written by it. It's unfortunately written by Orson Scott Card. He was commissioned to write it, though. So, and as much as I hate Orson Scott Card as a person, he is actually a good writer. And the way they describe, because in The Abyss, the aliens control the water. And this seemed to me a very similar style technology in terms of its description. So unfortunately for me, I just immediately transposed that understanding into it.
But that makes sense because I think that's what Hugh Howey was doing with water/sand or the diving. So I think it's good that you've had that understanding. For me,
Yeah.
I just wanted a bit more, I don't know, a bit more magic system to this particular magic, as it were, because it is just a magic. And what
it's
I
not
love
reality.
about when there's good magic systems, they make you think less that it's magic and more that it's just a technology you don't quite understand.
Yes.
As you guys all know, you guys know this. It's just that's what good writers do. Whereas I felt like there was a bit too much of me having to suspend my disbelief, and I'd like to have understood a little bit more
I
about.
basically understand it as molecular control, basically being able to control and transform the density of molecules.
Yeah,
But
but it
I'm
was more
sure that-
around the thought process. Like they would say, you have to think of this. That was the bit that I wanted to know more about. Like I got the idea of the suit and the visor being able to see, and I got the idea of the suit shifting the sand around you. But how you thought about how you wanted the sand to be, that's
a pretty common. Like the thing is that it's not the thought process communicating it to the sand; it's the thought process communicating it to the device as a whole that then controls the sand. That's a pretty common trope to have a device that integrates with your brain, which then controls the device as a whole, and then
in the same way, like even we have the technology now where people have limbs that are, artificial limbs that are kind of wired into the nervous system. I kind of imagined it would be a more high-tech version of that, like it's wired into your brain that you're controlling, where the suit is directing its power is coming from your brain. And I'm sure I've heard some things before about sand moving more like water when there's a certain vibration, a certain I'd have to research it more.
It was hypersonic acoustics.
Is that what they were using?
Yeah. So it's like super high frequency sound waves that either make the sand compact, like when it resonates that frequency goes hard, or when it resonates to the lower frequency becomes more fluid.
So did they spell that out in the book? Or
I thought so.
They spelled it out clearly enough that you could make the connection with the technology that currently exists.
I can't get into the hangout on the iPad.
I couldn't get in even with my computer. I had to reset my computer. I wanted this is not.
No.
Whenever I think of like a band to control your head, I think of those Neko Mimi cat ears. I would love to buy them. They're just really expensive.
But oh my god, that'd be so much fun.
Yeah. I think one of my friends had them, but she said a couple of people said like you just have to wipe your makeup off right where the sensor goes.
Right.
Okay, I don't wear makeup. That'll work.
Yeah.
As long as I don't need to shave my head or anything.
No. You get get your own little custom ears.
Oh, so cute. How much do they cost? They must be expensive.
In the US, $50. When I saw them, they were about 120 or something. They may have come down a bit since then.
Who knew we were going to get onto cat ears for humans? Do we do
Brainwave cat
tangents or do we do tangents?
I was just looking at some of these other reader things.
Yeah.
Some of them we've kind of actually discussed already.
That's
one of the
we're
scenes
good, Sarah, we're good.
I know we're into it. One of the scenes that I just was like this about, and like, for fuck's sake, what are you doing? Just Palmer, just fucking hell, what are you doing? There's this bit here where it says, once Palmer escapes with Danvar, he stumbles across Brock's encampment, and in order to survive must hide watching his enemies. Do you think he feels more anxious waiting here, unsure what to do with his enemies in plain sight, or when he was in Danvar waiting for Hap? What are the similarities and differences between the two experiences? I don't have much to say about that because I don't really think about it, but I remember reading that scene going, you are going to get caught because that's the only reason this is being written, and I'm hating this right now.
Yeah. I'm like, they're going to see him, especially since you already know that they're looking for Palmer, so they suspect he's alive, and they're looking very violently for Palmer.
I have to say, that didn't make any sense to me because they didn't look for the other two divers.
Yeah.
Maybe
That we
they,
know.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Maybe
No,
they
I
knew
think that's-
because Palmer was the most experienced of them. He was the most likely to go down and come back up.
I just was like, do they like? Surely,
But they were down.
if they were told that he wasn't coming up, and he clearly didn't come up for the thing, they've closed the thing to make it more difficult for him to get up. It made more they could have still had him chase him and discover him without needing to have been looking for him.
Yeah,
That's the
I think
thing.
the
It didn't
thing
make
is
any sense
the
to me.
timelines aren't exact. So I
Yeah.
figured they'd already seen him by the time Vic actually finds people who are looking for him.
Oh.
Because the timelines don't
Okay.
match up. It'll go through one story and then go back a bit and go through the
Yeah.
story again. Because by the time he got out and was stumbling back, the camp, like Connor and that, had already gone to gone camping and brought Violet back, and Vic is
Yeah.
Vic finds him, goes out and finds him after she
Yeah.
gets
Right.
assaulted. So he
So,
may have
yeah, 'cause
already
that
been
was the bit
seen.
that I couldn't
Maybe
understand
why
with,
we're
like,
looking for him. Yeah.
right, yeah, because the scene with Graham and Marco where they got killed, I was like going, why are they doing this? Because it just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I think the timelines overlap because that's the only way I could make sense of it, because they weren't just looking, they
Makes
were
sense now.
really, really looking for him, like to
Yeah.
the extent of torture. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, how cool was it when Graham was like just escaping by sliding underneath the town?
That was really
it cracked me up.
I was just like, I want Graham's story. Graham was cool too. I would have
Yeah.
liked that.
And
Yeah.
maybe we'll get that. Maybe someone will write some cool
Yes,
fanfic
because I'm
about
thinking maybe, if he does a second book, maybe it will be Farron and Violet and Rob and Graham.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool.
I found that interesting, that whole idea of like going underneath the town and stuff. Like, there was that one point when they were like, oh, the floor, like they had reinforced underneath the building.
Yes.
And I was like, well, that makes total sense, because you could imagine people just like ducking down underneath people's houses and popping up in the middle and like, just steal some things and then,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Because I think like the floor of a lot of the places was just sand.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to get in everything. Why bother making an actual floor? Or like, yeah.
But then
Yeah.
I think that would have probably been the difference between people who had money and who didn't.
Exactly. Because I think in oh no, I think it might have been the roof where Connor and Rob lived. There
Oh,
was
yes, 'cause they-
floorboards, but there were places built on top of each other, so it was probably the roof
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
previous. Yeah, that's what it
You know
was. It
what-
was a roof previously.
You know what that kind of reminded me of was Ready Player One, and
Me too.
Yes.
where
That's
they
exactly
had
where my
all
head
the
went.
buildings on top of each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
in the like caravan parky type place.
That is
yeah.
exactly where my head went to, Kirsten. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was exactly when I was thinking. I was like, oh, it's like Ready Player One.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sitting on one side of my chair because I have a friend.
Oh,
That's where he
hello.
sits.
Hello. Well, my friend came in and then he's left again. I don't know where he's
Yeah.
gone.
He was
My friend's
enjoying a
asleep.
pat, we saw.
He's gotten really needy recently.
Do we have any other questions?
What do we
wanna
think? What do we think about Violet? Do we think she's really Farron's daughter, or do we think she's someone that Farron said should look after?
I'm guessing, or I would like to think that it's not his daughter. It's just a child he's taken in.
Yes, and she's
Because they
been
never
taught
say
for
that.
it.
Yeah, because they never say that she looks like him. Which
Yeah.
whenever I've read,
They just say
whenever,
that he acts like him, but being raised by
But
him.
that's yeah, of course. Yeah, and I find that.
And they say that Rob and
talk
Violet are so close in age as well. So he'd have gotten there and then knocked her up straight away. So.
Yeah, got busy.
Which the romantic in me refuses to accept as being what he did. But then I'm like, but is this a romantic story?
I still want to believe he has a really good reason for leaving his family.
Even though we still don't
We can
actually know
hope.
what that is. Like, I'm like,
No,
where
we
was
have
the
no
good reason?
It has to be a really good reason.
Well, he said that he was already saying that he knew what the problem was.
Yes, so maybe he left expecting to be able to go there, fix it and come back and have a better life for his family and not be gone that long, but things just didn't work out as planned.
Yeah.
Because I got the
Even
impression
then, why didn't he tell his family?
Yeah.
Why did his family talk full stop? None of them talk to one another.
Kirsten, you were saying
I was just going to say, it wasn't like the little bits that we got of him before he left. It wasn't like he seemed like he wasn't, like a caring father. That he was doing that thing where he took them out one at a time to go and look at the sunrise thing, and it didn't seem like he just didn't give a shit about them. Like that, I could at least have understood. Whereas it did seem like he cared, but then.
Because they had that tradition of going out once a year in the tent before he disappeared.
Yeah.
So it seemed like they were a reasonably close family. Like they loved each other, and.
But I think the reason you're more willing to think that maybe he wasn't a good guy isn't because of the history that you get. It's because of what Rose is at that point in time before you get into Rose's head. And you see her as a bad person, so it's easy to see him as a bad person too.
But yeah, the more you get to know Rose, the less of a bad person you think she is. You think she's an absolutely horrible bitch at the beginning. But by the end, you're like, no, she's just a woman that did what she had to do to protect her family.
And I felt really sorry for her by the end.
Yeah. I just kind of felt like you did what you needed to do, but in the end, it was for you, not for them. But that's how I got the sense of it. It's like it just did everything but look after your family in a weird way.
Especially because she wasn't like, I know she was saying she doesn't have anything for herself or anything, but I was like, but you could have tried to have something for your kids.
It this just occurred to me. It felt like in some of her bits when she's talking about trying to keep the honey hole afloat and the girls and everything, it felt like she's kind of transposed her responsibilities and care of her family onto her girls and her business. And maybe that's because they're more accepting, because that's the only thing she got left was that. I wonder also with Farron going out, because he was like the Lord, and I wonder if that's he, and that was one of his other reasons, was I need to make a better life, not just for my family, but for my town. But again, he didn't tell anyone where he was going. I mean, he talked about it. Like, I don't know. It's an interesting one, or whether it's because knowledge is power in this kind of situation. If he had told too many people what he was thinking of doing or going to do, he would have given the power, which is exactly what happened. The power fell and they got kicked out. So
again, I think it comes back to the fact that he didn't think he would be gone forever.
I think you're right, Mel. I think he thought he could go sort it, and then it turned out he got captured.
Actually, I didn't think that originally. I think it was Kim who said that first. I was like,
because I think that's one of the things that said throughout the novel, we hear the sounds of drums from way beyond no man's land. Do you find this intriguing or scary? I was intrigued, definitely, the whole time they were talking about it. Like, what is that? Like,
actually,
how can you not want to know what that is?
That was one of the things that, when I said I was nitpicking about things that I didn't like, and I probably, if I'd known that there was going to be more, it wouldn't have bothered me. But towards the end, and we didn't find out exactly what was going on there, that was annoying to me, because I was like, what were they doing? Like, I get that it was some kind of mining or something that was, but like it was never exactly explained what exactly they were doing and why it was causing sand. And I wanted more about that. I wanted to know exactly what were they trying to mine for, and what was the point of it, and how were they doing it. I just wanted more information about that. And hopefully,
well,
the whole town. So we need like a shift style.
That's what I figured he'll do next. He'll give us the town history next.
We'll have either one other character or have Farron to explain it.
And then the third one will go west.
But I think that's the thing. I think I'm going to have to, if there's a third one, I'm going to have to wait for that one, because I think I'll get frustrated with the second one, and I'm going to need the third one to make up for it. So I'm probably going to have to wait. That's okay. I've got heaps to read in the meantime. My 2BR is ridiculous.
Exactly.
Never ending.
I'm just having a look at seeing what else is here.
And that's just exactly this.
We learn that much of the violence is caused by groups of young men. Why do you think they're doing this? Are they fighting for something or against it? And that kind of goes with that whole Vic jokes with Marco about why she goes to the rebel meetings with him. Why do you think she does this? What do you think are her real reasons for spending so much time with the rebels? I have to admit, I kind of got confused by the whole rebels thing, and kind of discounted it once Marco died.
Yeah.
Interesting, guys. I just thought you'd like to know this. We've got 2 viewers.
Oh,
Apparently,
Hello,
Naomi
viewers.
and Karina have been watching us the whole time.
who
Hey
has?
guys, Naomi and Karina.
And I need to figure out how we see the chat so we can see what they're saying about us.
Yeah.
I want to know whether Karina, having listened to us, is glad that she gave it up or is wishing that she'd kept reading.
Yes.
Yeah, she obviously her ears were burning, and she's like, "They're talking about me. I need to watch."
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the YouTube channel and see if it's there.
Who else is watching? Sorry, I heard Karina, but who's the first person?
Naomi.
No.
Oh, hello. They're probably gossiping together, knowing the 2 of them.
Yeah, they're probably just talking to each other.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Here it is. Oh, Matt's in there too.
Where is this?
Oh yeah.
I bet there is.
Yeah, if you go to
this on
her
YouTube?
if you go to her YouTube page and the live thing, there's on my this side. there's a chat. Oh look.
Who set this up?
Mel comes out for like a bright yellow crown with a bright yellow side on it.
As I should be.
Yes.
Where am I going? Someone put the link in chat.
Oh, I just you. Yeah.
So I can put it in there.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, thank you. Because I thought maybe you were saying, Kim, you were running it. I got confused.
Oops. Sorry, I meant to pause it.
Now I've got to size everything so I can see the chat underneath.
I'm watching now too, you see, so it's getting really confusing.
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh, here they are. Oh, so that doesn't, interesting, Mel. That means that didn't come up in the chat we've got here.
Sorry, Naomi's like, we are not gossiping.
Well, let's
We've
check.
noticed you now.
Because it's got the track transcript, so we can go back and check on them.
Isn't that what Stargate is? Oh, it's so funny. I wonder if
Oh,
they're
you've
all
definitely been here for a while if you said hi, Xander.
Yeah.
No, I noticed we had viewers for ages, and I was just like, that's weird. But because we've been playing with the app, I thought it must have been a residual from that, and so I ignored it.
We are not gossiping. Yeah, you are.
So many different windows with so many different things. Why they can't all put it in the same thing?
I wish they told us we were here. They were there.
They'd be in the internal chat, but no, that makes much more sense now. Okay, so that
I should have realised because we'd been Karina had mentioned that she wasn't going to come because she didn't really read that much of the book, and I was going to message her when we finished chatting about it so she could join us, but we didn't stop chatting about it, so I didn't message her.
Sorry,
Trying to
we
let
stayed
you
on
go
topic.
Now, right? It's a
Oh
Hugh
my
Howey.
God,
We
it's a
stayed on
miracle.
topic.
I'm sorry, Karina, we stayed on topic. Oh dear, I wonder what the delay's like.
It doesn't look too bad, maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So I just saw Matt go out the door, so yeah.
Yeah, it's about 10 seconds.
There you go. Well, we mustn't have been too boring at least. Yes, we did start late.
Yeah.
But I did predict starting late, Karina. I actually sort of was like, this is going to happen. I know it.
Yep. And it's only because Kirsten's computer wouldn't cooperate.
Yeah.
Yes, it's all
It's all
Kirsten's
my fault.
Specifically her computer's fault. Or actually, no, I think I have to blame you since you hadn't restarted it in a while. Waiting and suffering.
Yeah, I haven't
still
restarted
in
it. Like, Matt's always telling me off for that too. I'm like, just leave it on. It'll be right.
I don't like restarting mine because sometimes it doesn't want to restart.
Oh, well, that's another
mine's
problem
old
entirely. I had to tell someone off today because they've never restarted their computer, and I was like, just try and do it once a week for me. Just once a week.
Yeah.
I get incredibly stressed when I see some people who have so many tabs in their browsers. It stresses me out.
Don't look at mine either.
I get way too many. I'm like, I have to just I'll go back to that later, and I'll just leave that up. I'll read that later, and then I've got like 30 tabs open, and I'm just closing them. I'm not going to read any of these. Just close them.
Stresses me out. I don't know what it is.
All right, guys,
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Are we done with sand? Are we good?
I was just going to check if there's anything else we wanted to talk about.
I've only got 14 tabs open, Sarah.
14.
Okay.
That's
15 if you count the other window.
And how many windows are those 14 in?
14 in one and one in the other window.
Okay.
Apparently they were talking about us for 20 minutes about how late we were.
No, that's fair enough. I don't know how. We can't have been up here. Oh, were they talking about that afterwards?
If it wasn't in this, they could have been just as easily chatting elsewhere. I'm pretty sure they've got other forms of communication.
Gotcha.
They have telepathy.
Well, we are talking
sure they
about
do.
the girls who are, like, you know, in bed together.
Balls gash from the cell, blah, 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 blah.
Balls gash. Every time they said that, I'm like, I don't like that word.
Hey, what do you think? What do you think that was in the? Sorry, back to geography again, because I love talking about it.
Let's do geography.
What, how they were out in no man's land? They go camping, and there was that gash in the earth, and I think it was called the Bull's gash. Yeah. When you say it out loud, I see what your problem is with it now. I didn't think about it when I read it, but now I'm like, what do you think that's supposed to be? Is it something real? Is it something where the earth is tearing itself like a tectonic plate?
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe there's a tectonic plate around there or something, and it's just...
But if it's something they're able to leap over, it can't be that big.
Yeah, it's like, what do they say, 2 strides? Or something like that? 2 feet? It's like just a big gap. Not a great gap, but like a massive gap, but...
Yeah.
Who knows? I think that one's a mystery.
I love this crown business. Yeah. I need a crown.
What are you talking about?
In the chat.
Oh, in the...
Oh, I see. That is cool.
Yeah.
12 tabs.
Oh, I'm just boring nothing.
I'm special, Kim. very, very special.
Let's just see if there's anything there.
Can't see anything. I think that anything that's around that would be that size, we wouldn't see it on the maps.
No, I just wondered if it was something that people had heard of.
I don't know that region at all. I reckon it's kind of like with that book we were reading that was set in Brisbane for vaginal fantasy, and for me, books that I've read based in Melbourne, there'll be details that are like obvious to everybody, but there'd also be tiny little details. Oh,
was
so
it that
Kirsten started?
Which one was it, Kirsten?
Sorry, I've just got distracted.
It was the zombie one.
Oh, Flesh? Was it called Flesh?
Flesh, yes, Flesh.
Okay. Right. I'm not a zombie fan.
No.
Okay, cool.
It was a terrible book.
Don't read this book. It wasn't even good terrible to make fun of.
Yeah, pick at.
And every time I drive through Blackstone, I think of that stupid book now. And I've driven through Blackstone several times since I've read that book.
And if you check the chat, you can see Naomi is not a fan either. Very, you know.
It was the worst.
So I think that this is probably one of those things that if you live in Denver or all of those areas, you might know a feature like this, but it's not something that people who are not locals are going to know.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. I was just curious because I remember reading it and going, it's quite specific.
But I definitely think it's one of those things. It's like I've got a book that I reread because I really like it, set in Melbourne. And there are things in that book which I think just visitors like yourself would pick up, but there's things that I pick up which I'm like, I know this because I live here.
Nice.
So, yeah, and like the guy who wrote it, he lives in Perth now, but he used to live in Melbourne. He grew up in Melbourne, so he knows it well. So he probably put things in there that I don't even pick up on because I'm not a local like that. So
yeah, it reminds me of that film Stranger Than Fiction. Have you heard that film?
Sounds familiar, but remind me.
Oh, yeah.
I've forgotten the guy's name. I don't know why. It's like a comedian. He's not playing a comedic role. I've forgotten his name. But the book's being he wakes up with a narrator in his head, like talking about everything he's doing. And there was it just reminded me of this. But where Will Ferrell, thank you. And it's where he he manages to talk to Dustin Hoffman, and he was trying to work out who the person was. And I remember him saying about Emma Thompson's character, who's the author. He said, and she knows the city, and he goes, yeah, she knows the city because it's set in Chicago. So it was that really cool thing of going, it's someone who obviously knows this, and that reminded me of when someone knows a city really well.
You can tell.
You can tell, yeah.
But that was what was weird about Flesh, is she actually lives in Brisbane and she got it all wrong. It's weird.
Hate that. That.
You know, it's like, don't mess with the geography. You live there. Don't just mess with it because you think most of your readers are going to be American. God.
There's people like me who obsessively get on and look at all the maps, like, and go, oh, they're here. They must be going uptown. Like when books are set in New York, Manhattan, I like love that stuff. And there was a book we read for Vaginal Fantasy that was set in San Francisco, and it was an Auckland author, weirdly enough. It was actually pretty accurate. I was like looking at what it was, and it was it was really cool. It's like, see, people love maps. Yeah. Don't discount
I love maps,
geeks.
but the only thing that freaks me out when I see a map in a book is like, oh my God, is this going to really matter? Am I going to have to keep referring to the entire time? Am I going to be totally lost? I'm glad when I saw that, I'm like, oh no. But then it's like, it didn't actually matter. You didn't really.
It really didn't. And the thing that frustrates me about that map is it's orientated wrong.
Yes.
I'm like,
it actually pissed me off because that was part of the reason I couldn't get my head around where things were and where she was traveling to with the marinas, and it's because it was orientated the wrong bloody way.
It's like everything's written in a different direction. It's really, it's like it's north, but then the word is written on a different order.
The wall's at the north, and you don't get that until they fucking blow the thing up.
What does this map even matter, though? Like, there is not enough
it doesn't.
here to really give you anything.
We really didn't need it. We didn't need it.
No.
Anyway.
Do you hear that, you Howie's publisher? We don't need a map.
Don't need the map. The map didn't make any difference whatsoever. There wasn't enough there wasn't enough
words.
There wasn't enough of building the environment around you to even matter. That existed.
Yeah, we got.
It's like there was enough that there was a water pump and that there was a market and that they had a house. It didn't really make much of a difference.
He said, you feel the rich people live in the shadow of the wall, and then Shantytown was at the bottom. It was beautifully described, and that map actually just confused the hell out of me.
It was just superfluous. It made no sense.
Yeah.
Is Karina coming in? Naomi's here.
Naomi weirdly looked like she was in the same room as Kirsten there for a minute, just on the side. It just
I know, it's like the walls almost match colour.
Yeah, and then you've got bookcases that kind of like.
Well, they are in the same town.
It's the door that almost matches.
Yeah.
Good point.
I'm not next in my view. We're not next to each other, so
no, Sarah's in between us. So,
haha.
Oh, that's interesting. Why would she be?
Why is Sarah in between you and yours, but not on the rest of ours? That's
I
weird.
think because you're usually like the furthest
You're
to the
usually on
end
the
on
end.
your own.
Yeah. You're usually on the end.
Okay.
And you
Yeah,
get a
so,
bigger
and then
screen
maybe Kirsten
real
would be on
estate.
the other end for you. That makes sense, yeah. Whereas for me, I would, because I'm a B for Books and Sundry, I'd be at the beginning. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, hi,
That makes
Dana.
sense.
Hi guys.
Oh, hello.
I couldn't find the link.
Oh, rude.
Oh, probably because it was in the sand hangout.
Yeah.
Sand.
Which is hard
yeah.
to navigate to when you said that you're not going to something. Like you
Yes,
have to
'cause it
like specifically
disappears.
hunt
Oh,
down the
you
event.
have to go to
You can't
info
find
and
it.
then-
I don't
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
what's going
Once
on
the
with
time
events.
hits, it disappears.
I don't understand what's going on with events either. I go to events inside LUD and there's almost nothing there. I have to go to events, my
know.
personal ones, to find anything.
Yeah.
When I went
I'm like,
to
I'm
the
sure you've like put everything there and nothing's showing up.
when I went to the events like LUD page today, Sand wasn't there, but I assume that's because I said
Yeah.
no. But like the Harry Potter one isn't there,
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
that
there's
one's
always
there.
nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really weird.
and then
I
but the
get
other one
it.
is
And nothing's there.
the SNL, the
Sword and laser.
Yeah, it's that one.
Sword and Laser.
Sword and Laser.
Sword and Laser book that we're reading is there, but all the rest of the hangouts
Yeah.
aren't. And then my hangouts are there. I'm like, what the hell
Yeah.
is wrong with your events page? You're all for LUD. What the hell?
I don't.
Yeah, that's
I don't
really
try to
like-
understand anymore.
The summer one's there, and the Golem and the Genie, and the Christmas one's there. All the rest are missing
Yeah, that's all
from the
Christmas
LDUH
check.
page. I have to go to my events.
I'm
Yeah.
still going to make one for the Life Watch.
I created the Golem and the Genie one, so it's not because Naomi's made it instead of me. One worked and the others haven't. I don't understand.
Yeah, I thought maybe it's the ones I've ticked I'm going to, but that's not it either.
But
No, because I
think I'm
should
going
be.
to
I should
Harry
have
Potter
all of them then.
Have you tried under past events too, or is it just the future ones?
Yeah.
It should show you future events. That's what you should see in that list.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
at the moment, the only one I
it's only showing me them ones. Yeah.
is
I
the
thought
Golem.
maybe it's the one I've clicked that I'm going to, but it should have the Christmas one in there, the Christmas comics one. If it's only marking the going one, the ones I've marked that going,
Is there
and
a
the
Christmas
upcoming
comics
one.
one? Is there
It
a Christmas?
seems. I think
Comics
we've
of
got
2016.
I
Yeah,
don't
there
have it.
should be a Christmas comics one, but I
Yeah.
can't see it. Like
No.
I can
Yeah.
see my two hangouts,
I have to go into my
the Golem
events
and the
to see
Gin,
it.
but that's
Yeah.
it. I can't see the Harry Potter one or the Christmas comics. I'm like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
not that hard,
We're all
Facebook.
seeing the same ones,
Not
but
that
there's not all of them there.
I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're
And it's
all
not even
events
like
that are made
it's
through
not as
LUD.
after a certain thing, or it's only the upcoming ones you haven't replied to. It's just random.
No, it's random because there's ones in between them and things like that. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Is
oh,
what
I didn't reply to that one. Maybe that's it because it's only showing me the next one coming up. But I'm like, no, I replied to that one, and I replied to that one, and only one of
I
those
haven't
are showing.
replied to the. I've got Summer Chill and Christmas Hangouts. So I've got Naomi's ones for the next 2 months, and I've got Golem and Judy because I said yes. But yeah, I'm missing comics and I'm missing Harry Potter maybe because I said I'm not going. I don't
There
know.
should be 2 Harry Potter ones because there's a Harry Potter one after the Golem and the Genie, and there's one after the Summer Chill.
But that's the same, Sarah. That's exactly what I've got on
Yeah.
the LDUH page.
We've
That
got
only
those.
those ones. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand it. I've stopped trying to explain it. If I want to see what's coming up, I go to the events, my personal events one now.
Yeah.
So if I go to personal events and invitations, there's comics. That's it. Oh, show declined events.
Oh, go
Harry
all.
Potter.
Yeah.
That's
You
weird.
go all.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, kind of annoying. Anyway, I wanted to ask, is everybody good with what I did today around the group and everything?
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
A+.
I had to,
I'm more than happy to be like rude and be like, all you bitches that haven't replied, either reply or get the fuck out.
well,
Yeah, I was about to offer to do it.
like I'm already looking at it. Like the thing I posted today, like I had talked with Nye about it through it today, and I was like, not enough people have done the survey. I feel a bit weird kicking a whole heap of people out who like used to be members who participated, but we haven't heard from them in 2 years, kind of stuff. And I'm still like, I want to give them the opportunity, but maybe they just didn't go do the census, so I need to put something else up. He's like, yeah, that's fair. But I've already got like people have seen it, but they're not replying to it. So I'm like, you're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't even, if they can't even like send you a message or at least like the post, to say,
I
yes,
suppose-
I've seen it and I'm acknowledging the fact that this is what you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
if they haven't done either of those things, like, that's one click of one button. It doesn't take much effort to be like, okay, I see and I'm liking this post, to be like, I still just want to lurk here. Please let me stay.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't
if
put
it
in
was-
that much effort,
if it was people that didn't use Facebook very often, like, you know, Facebook is my probably most commonly used social media, but I know it isn't for everybody. But if it's coming up that they've seen it, then it's not like they haven't checked their Facebook in weeks. You know what I mean?
Well, the other thing too, if they haven't seen it and I can see that they've been online, it's also a case of, well, you're clearly not checking the group at all.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that's the other thing I can see, is I can actually see when they were last online.
Yes. I think you can.
Yeah, I think so.
You can at least see who's seen the post.
At the very least, that much, yeah. I'm pretty sure when I saw it before, you could also see when they were last online, because I saw some people who, like, they'd been online about an hour ago, so they obviously had missed out on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, Matt hasn't seen it, but he was on 2 minutes ago. That's weird.
Yeah. But he's been, like, I don't know what he's actually been doing online in the last, because he's, since, like, probably 6:30, he put Claire in the bath, and then brought her out to me and I fed her, and then he put Xander in the bath and then did stories with Xander and then came out. So, and what he does when he's bathing the kids is he plays that Marvel game on his phone.
Yep.
So he may have ducked into Facebook to send me messages, because he sent me a message before, but he might not have actually been scrolling through and looking at the Facebook feed.
Not that it matters. Matt's not in danger of being kicked out at all, but
No.
hey, he feels
No,
in
but I'm
senses. He's
saying,
good.
like, he might have been online, but he wouldn't have been scrolling through Facebook because he wouldn't have had time. Like, if he'd gone into Facebook, it would have been to send me a message or whatever. Because quite often, like, during the day, we'll send messages to each other on Facebook rather than on text messages, because he's not really always have his phone at work, but he's always got his computer at work because he's working on the computer.
I figured it out, though. The people who I can see in the not seen as being when they came online, they're the people who I've friended. Everybody else who are not friended, I don't have any timing for them.
Right.
Yes. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but for most of them, I'm not too worried, because pretty much all of them are people who haven't participated. I've got Nikki, Caitlin, Zoe, June, Tina, Tegan, and Vanessa. Vanessa's staying anyway, so she's good. And like, the only one out of that group that I'd be worried about is June, because he did participate a fair bit before, and he said he wanted to hang around, but he didn't have time. But I'm kind of at the point now that that's been almost 2 years or something crazy like that since that point in time.
Really?
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
It doesn't seem like that long ago that he was in Hangout.
It might be like a year. It might actually, no, you're right. It wasn't that long ago, because he did the series read last year.
I don't think he's been at all this year, though.
No,
Like,
it's been a year, more than a year now. So I'm fine with, like, he's not back, and we haven't heard from him, and he isn't even doing something as basic as commenting on something. He's fine to go now.
And what about Justine? Because she hasn't been around for ages.
That's the thing. Like, I'm actually at the point where I'm sort of owning the fact that as long as everybody's good with it, if they haven't been around and they can't even be bothered to respond to a call out like this, they're clearly not involved at all, and they've just let it lapse, and they haven't bothered to leave the group themselves.
Yeah, they've got other things that have gotten more important.
They've probably turned off notifications, to be honest.
And that's quite possible, and that's fine. I'm good with that. But if you're at that kind of point where you're not checking at all, even like once a week or much at all, like we're not even just talking about 1 week for them to respond to this. We're also talking about the fact that they ignored the census too.
But what I'm saying is that, well, I don't know how that went out. If that, it's fair enough. If they've turned off notifications, then
they're disengaged.
Boot them.
But what this means is we'll probably, if we don't get anybody responding, I reckon we'll get Jasmine will probably stay. because she does like the group very much, but she didn't do the census. But so I reckon she'll stay. Holly didn't do it, but I'm pretty sure she wants to stay. So I reckon we're going to end up with roughly 15 to 16 in the group in total.
That's cool.
Yeah, Holly said she just something. She actually commented about she didn't get to the census. But
Yeah, I know, because I contacted her directly because I was like, Holly, I'm pretty sure you want to do this. Please do this.
She's pretty engaged in other ways. Like she's pretty active.
Yeah,
so we'll see
that's
her
right.
there.
She might not be she's what I call a satellite member. She does some stuff, but not that much, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So she's
I think she quite likes seeing the stuff, and she posts stuff in the group, and you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she's cool. But yeah, overall, most of the others have, because we've added about 3 members in the about 4 months ago. And
it could be 2 people that are going, oh, that sounds like a good idea, I'll join that club, and then forget all about it, and kind of, you know, or they join at the spur of the moment and then realise, okay, maybe that isn't really for me after all, and instead of leaving, they just leave it.
Well, I think some people joined because they were in Vaginal Fantasy on the Goodreads forum, joined the VF Down Under, realised that wasn't very active, and then we're like, oh well, so many people have gone over to Land Down Under, I'll join that. And then
actually it was more direct than that. Liv actually posted in the Vaginal Fantasy forum on Goodreads about Land Down Under.
Okay, so I mean that would have been how we got a few people that have joined but aren't really active,
because I think they might have realised that the books aren't what they like to read or whatever, and
it's not Vaginal Fantasy in here, so
no. And
but then leave. I don't understand why you would do that and then hang around for such a long time,
because
especially when we're fully voicing these concerns.
They would have just turned off notifications and forgot about it.
You'd just be sitting in their bar on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm part of several groups that I've turned off notifications for, but I haven't left because I might want to turn them back on again. So, for instance,
and we don't. I don't think we post often enough to warrant turning off notifications for us. It's there's a couple that I just read through that I don't have to actually engage in anyway. I've turned off the notifications for that because they just post way too much.
Yeah.
It's sort of something you just go and look at every now and again, or you might be a little bit more involved. But
we're lucky
that one doesn't really matter.
3 or 4 posts a week. It's what I did today with multiple posts, that is a rare thing for us.
Yeah.
And I actually got worried about it because I was like, oh God, please don't not pay attention because I'm doing so many, but I need to do it. Because I need to get the membership cleanup to be done so that I can move on to who's got what month next year and the Secret Santa for this year. So So I'm just trying to get all of the organisation-y stuff out of the way.
Can you see the little gremlin?
Yeah. Yeah. Looking for a drawer, isn't
she? Gremlin is there.
Looking at me. that used to have folders stacked up on it, there.
That he's sprawled on the floor because I won't let him back out. Because the moment I let him outside the door, I'll open it and close it, and then he'll be like, meow, meow, let me in. So I'm like, no, asshole, you can just sleep there on the floor and suck it up.
Sounds good.
Oh, you guys were talking about doing a hangout in Bali. I thought we discussed this. Next hangout needs to be on a cruise ship because we get all of our food included.
This is true.
Oh my God, that's
we still get a pool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We still get a pool.
Yeah, we still get a pool.
So,
we can lay about
2019 Bali.
Life is good.
So what are we talking here? 2018, 2019? What are we doing?
Oh, man. I'm so up for a cruise ship one, I tell you.
Well, 2018 might be a bit stretched because that's the year Lionel and I have decided we're going to go to England, France. That's our 10-year wedding anniversary. So we're going to do a big Europe trip over a month and a half. So 2019, maybe.
Okay.
I'm putting it out there into the world. That's all. It's not something that has to be set in stone, but I'm just putting that out there in the world.
Do we know how much a cruise trip costs? I have no idea.
There's a lot.
Well, it depends on how long we want to go.
Yeah. The one that I did for a week, and I stayed with that was in a 4-person cabin. was about $900 per person. And
It's reasonable
but then
with all
my
food included.
Yeah.
that includes everything. Like, it includes all your food. It doesn't include alcohol, and so but I didn't spend that much on alcohol. It doesn't include like what your trips off the boat. Like, if you want to do tours and stuff, that's extra. But like, it includes like enough food that you would just about explode from eating so much. Like, all you ever do is eat. It includes all the like activities and shows and things like that are on the boat, and I thought it was pretty good value.
Sorry. Especially when really what we want to do is just hang out with each other and drink.
Yeah.
I figure we're just gonna lay on some sort of like reclining chair in bikinis and read books and like drink.
Yeah.
And then go back to cabins and play board games. Like,
Yeah.
I feel
Is
like
there any cruise ships with board game rooms? I know they have libraries.
None that I don't know.
well
There should be one.
The cruise ship that I went on for my honeymoon had like a fairly largish library where they had a table people play board games on.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we really need. It sounds like I don't even need to get off the ship.
No, look, when we have days in port, we can just sit and play board games all day. I'm really okay with that.
When I did mine, I was we deliberately planned not to get off the boat on one of the port days, and it was so good because nobody else was on the boat, and like usually like all the spas and stuff are full, and you have to kind of like be like one of those seagulls like going for a chip to get into the spa, but like whereas when everybody was off the boat when we were in Cairns, it was awesome because there was no one there.
I was trying to get your attention, and I was like, I'll just send it.
I did see that come up, and then I was like, oh, I won't. I'll check that Snapchat later.
I was like,
How did
surely
you send that to me?
I don't have it.
Because
where's the snap?
You should have it. I sent it to Kim, Kirsten, Sarah, and Mel. All of you got it. Because I was like, someone pay attention to me.
I do not have it.
I know we were talking, but I feel really left out.
I don't have it, Amy. You didn't send it to me.
I did send it to you.
Oh, there we go.
People, I'm unwell, but on that note, I'll see you
Mel. Did you send it Books and Sundry, Mel?
Yeah, I did.
Did
you have a different Snapchat?
No, I've only got Books and Sundry.
That's all I sent it to.
I don't have it. I'm very sad. So, okay. So here's the one thing, though. If we're going on a boat, I may need to medicate myself.
Oh, I will too.
I believe
absolutely.
I believe that the bigger the boat, the less seasick, generally.
Yeah, my friend who I went with got really bad seasick the first night, and then she took the drugs for the whole rest of it, and she was okay. But then she went on another one for her honeymoon, and then she was sick the whole time for that one. So
it can depend a lot on the boat, then.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it depends on, like, it may be worth buying a few different brands of the drugs and seeing which ones work better for you as well.
Right, okay, so we, Books and Sundry.
Are you? Like, is that your name?
That's it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I got it.
Sent it to that one.
Yeah, I got it now.
I got Ace now.
Yeah, I sent it to you too, since you felt so unloved.
Thank you.
I don't know why you felt so unloved.
Oh, I got a sorry too. Yay, I'm lucky. I reckon, like, what we do is everybody who gets seasick, we just bring a different medication, but we bring a lot to share.
Buy one each. I'm sure there'll be some on the boat, so buy one each of each type.
Yeah.
And then you find one that works for you and you need more, then you can just buy it on the boat, because I'm sure they have everything on the boat.
Oh, yeah, they do.
I'm positive they do. Those things are massive.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
I can deal with this. All right, so we're looking at possibly 2019 for a cruise ship.
How old were the kids then? What year is it now?
2015. So Claire will be like, what, 3.5, 4?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
She'll be fine.
Big enough so we can be grandma for a while anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, Grandma will be fine. Oh, you're bringing Matt? Oh, does that mean we have to bring boys?
No, it's not coming. Don't worry. I'll have to do an awful lot of talking to get Nye there, so let's just count on him not coming. Although he is possibly coming to Adelaide. You never know.
That'd be nice. Adelaide sounds good. I like the sound.
Yeah. I'm guessing for Adelaide we find a cabin. Fireplace.
Cabin.
Oh yeah.
Have to go in that. So
Nice.
maybe you want to stay in the Barossa or the hills.
Yeah, somewhere that's a bit bigger so that we can all sort of hang out together and play board games.
That's what I'm thinking.
Sounds good.
And then we can go out and drink wine and
Long weekend in the Barossa.
There you go.
Sounds good.
All right, and then I don't know. We're planning the whole thing out, so let's deal with 2018 at the same time, Pert.
I think that would be only fair.
Yep.
Only fair to poor
technically,
G.
if we want to be fair, technically we should go to Canberra because Liv has actually been to a couple.
We can do Canberra.
Well, I'm thinking what we do is we say Canberra in 2020 to be cheaper after having done the cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, look,
Yes.
I'm happy
Yeah, I
with
think
whatever.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm
Anyway.
going to make it in 2018 because I'm doing the adventure of a lifetime over in Europe.
Mm.
It just
Yeah.
depends on when you guys go.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing because we
it's a
usually
while
do it.
away.
Yeah.
As long
That'll
as you
have to
don't
be
do it in
Perth
May.
and North Canberra.
'cause That's our wedding anniversary.
Let's just get through Adelaide and then we'll deal with all of this.
We'll talk about it when you're in Adelaide.
Let's not go too far with the planning. It could go a little. I mean, I know I'm planner extraordinary and I'd go over the top with this sort of stuff, but let's.
That's right. You're not the only one.
You're so much like me that way. I love it that you do that because I'm like I like to plan things ahead of time. You know, I got into trouble the other day because I was like messaging people going, "What are your plans for Christmas?" And they're like, "That's so far away." And I'm like, "No,
No, it's not. I've
It's
had
not.
Christmas organised since May. The only thing I haven't done is all my presents. So on the weekend I'll be posting what month people have for next year, and if somebody needs to do a switch, then that's the time to do it, basically. So.
Okay.
You're
I
right,
might start organising what I'm going to do comics-wise for next year because I'm thinking of maybe doing comics every second or third month at the end of the month, so it's sort of
2
a
weeks
bit
after.
further away because we sort of do my chill hangout and our book hangout at the start of the month. So I was thinking if we do it towards the end of the month.
It's a good idea." And then it
Spread
can
it out
kind of
a bit.
be a comic would be a good thing, like if you're reading the book for the month and you finish it, you know, a little bit ahead of you're a bit before the month has ended, and you're like, "Oh, I can squeeze a comic in before I start the next month," kind of thing.
And not
Yeah.
just that, if you don't have time to read the whole book or you don't think the book interests you, at least if we're doing a comic every second or third month, it gives people the opportunity of joining in with reading something without having to because I think that's what's wrong with the chill ones. People are like, oh, they're all friends and they're doing their friend hangout thing, which is not the idea of it. I mean, I want new people to join us, but I figured if we do comics, people can read the comic and just come along to chat about it.
Yeah.
I can see your cat by the door.
Yes, asshole.
Let me out.
But
I turned around very
you don't
fast.
actually want to go out. You're just
No.
an asshole.
Just wants you to open the door and close it and open the door again.
You've got people
I can't
watching
read
you,
that
Mum.
far.
Do what I say.
Fine, I'll be right back.
Wow, that worked.
Oh dear, that's funny. Oh god, guys, it's 11. I have to get up at 5:30. I think I'm gonna have to go.
Oh gosh. I have
Why
no
does-
idea what time I have to go. I hate that. That's one of the worst things. Like, if I knew, okay, the baby's going to go at this time and this time, I could at least, it's the planning thing. I could deal with, okay, I know I'm going to have to get up at whatever time. I hate the whole thing of she could sleep all the way through to the morning, or she could wake up at 2 a.m., or she could wake up at 4 a.m.
Guys, what happened to Sarah?
She disconnected.
She went to bed about 5 minutes ago.
Did she
she went
say
to bed.
something about going to bed?
Yeah, she did.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry,
We were all
Sarah.
kind
I
of
didn't-
talking, and she sort of
I didn't hear even.
yeah.
No, I didn't either.
I think we were just getting really excited about all of the planning. Just tells you what kind of people we all are, because we're like, yay, planning, woo!
Oh, interesting thing, guys. I actually found out something about myself, and I'm wondering if other people are this. So I often get people call me positive and a positive person and a negative person all at once, and it's like, how can I be both? That doesn't make sense. I found out what I am. I forgot the term for it.
You're so excited and
That's like when you have a joke and you forget the punchline. God damn it!
That
you've
happens to me all
already
the
into
time.
the joke. Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, and you're like, oh God, why did that leave my head? What the hell? Anyway, the point is that it's not that I'm either so much. It's that if I plan for the negativity, I can then be positive.
Yeah. That makes total sense.
I'm just like, oh my God, that's exactly what I do. I don't ignore that the negativity is there. I plan for it. I think about it. I make sure I overcome it. And then I can just be positive.
Yeah.
That seems fair.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
Total sense.
Yeah. I think it's... No, that's not it. Okay. One day, you guys are going to get a random post in Lud one day where I write in all caps, blah, 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 blah. And you'll be like, what is she talking about?
No context. Just a couple of words.
I'm not explaining to anybody else. You had to be here to get it.
No. What's going to happen is
okay
you're
with
going to go
that.
to bed tonight and you're going to be like, I need to get up in the morning. And you're going to be lying in bed trying to get to sleep, trying to remember what that word is.
How well you know me. Jesus. Oh, God. That's not good. Alrighty. I'm actually going to go to bed now. All right, guys. I'll stop the broadcast, but you guys can stay here. I'm pretty sure it'll still keep going. So I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.